Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime! What's going on, everybody? This is Just Add Misplay, and today I'm going to go over my Bravo Blitz deck with you guys. I've gotten in a lot of reps with this deck. I've entered it into multiple tournaments, and I just want to share my thoughts and my experiences with this deck, the matchups that it's good against and the matchups that it's not so good against, and the overall strategy when you're playing Bravo. Starting off, our hero is Bravo. You pay 2, you give a card 3 or greater, dominate, and it has go again. That's a major part of this deck. Giving your big attacks dominate really helps. Now, Bravo's main build around strategy is the crush effect. So I'm just going to grab a card over here. So crush, whenever it deals 4 or more damage, an effect triggers. So it really has the opponent trying to figure out how they want to block to see if they want to take that crush effect or not. And a lot of the times I notice opponents will block just enough so that they don't take crush. Like if this deals 5, they'll just try to block 2 of it. So 3 damage will go through and they won't get the crush effect. It's effective because it helps get cards out of their hand, but we also have little hidden tricks in here to help make those crush effects push through. All right. So I think we should start off with the armor. You get 11 inventory slots. Our first inventory slot is no other than Anothos. Anothos is Bravo's weapon. It has a once per turn action to pay 3 resources to attack. And if you have 2 or more cards in your pitch zone with 3 or greater resource cost, then Anothos gets +2. So it's a generic 4 damage. And a lot of times you can attack with Anothos and you'll have one card in your pitch zone that costs 3 or greater. And then you can pitch another card to buff Anothos or pitch another card to do something. If it's 3 or greater, which there's a good chance it will be, it'll actually do 6 damage. And I've done that so many times to surprise the opponent. And a lot of times they don't see that coming. So that extra 2 damage really helps. It's just one little trick with Anothos that I think if you guys start using it, I think you'll like it. So we're going to start off with helmets for the armor. This is a common piece of equipment, the Helm of Ishen's Peak. I've been using this for a long time for my budget build. I just recently got my hands on Arcanite Skullcap. That's like a $200 card. So if you don't have that, Helm of Ishen's Peak is a great replacement. Again, there's times where I still use this card over Arcanite Skullcap. It's a really good common piece of equipment. It has an ability where you can pay 1 and destroy the helmet, and your target hero will get 1 intelligence until end of turn. That doesn't seem like a whole lot, but getting that 1 extra card in your hand is really nice, especially in Bravo. It'll really help set up your next attack, which is what Bravo really wants to do. A lot of this deck revolves around that. And it has Battle Worn, so you can block with it once and still use the action later, which is really good. Again, Helm of Ishen's Peak is definitely a solid piece of head equipment. For our third inventory slot, we have Arcanite Skullcap. I just talked about this briefly. It's good against decks where you think you're going to have less health than the opponent. Dorinthia is a really good one, and a lot of the times I notice when I play Arcanite Skullcap, the opponent will actually play around this card. So they'll make sure that they keep your health a little bit above theirs so that you don't get to defend with it for 2. And really that's all it does. It just defends for 2 and everything else is kind of just flavor text. Like, yeah, it's good against Wizard with the Arcane Barrier 3, but there's a good chance you're not going to have less health than Kano for a while. So just keep that in mind when you're using Arcanite Skullcap, all right? Up next, we have Tectonic Plating. This is a staple. You kind of have to have this card if you're running Bravo. You pay 1 and you create a Seismic Surge token. Let me just get that real quick. Seismic Surge token makes it so that during your next turn, you destroy it and the next Guardian attack you play costs 1 less to play. So it's really good. It helps set up the turns. A lot of Bravo's attacks cost a lot of resources. So again, it helps set up the next turn. Anytime you have 1 extra resource, you just always want to activate the Tectonic Plating and create that Seismic Surge token. It also has Battle Worn, so it blocks for 2 and it will not get destroyed. So it's really good. Definitely a staple for Bravo. Up next, we have Goliath Gauntlet. This is a common equipment and it's always been really, really good. It blocks for 0, but that doesn't really matter because you just want to sacrifice it and it gives your next attack +2. So if you have any big attack in your hand, especially with like a crush effect, it will just add 2 extra damage to that, which is really, really nice. And it doesn't cost any resources to activate, which is also pretty sweet. I've been using this a lot in my budget builds for Bravos. Definitely do not sleep on that card. Going the complete opposite of budget, we got Crater Fist. This card we're just kind of playing because it blocks for 2. It's really good against Dorinthia or strong aggro decks. Ninja, it's really good against. This top ability, you don't ever use that usually. I mean, I think I had one game where I used it and I'm not even sure if I won that game. It's just a very resource intensive. The 2 defense is why you're using this card, really. Like, let's be honest. For the feet, Guardian doesn't really have very great feet equipment. So I just run Iron Rot legs just for 1 extra defense. It's really nothing special, but again, it's a common equipment that's solid. And then I also have Mage Master Boots. So it costs 1 resource and you get to destroy it, and your next non-attack action card you play gets Go Again. I really just have Mage Master Boots in this deck for 1 card in this deck specifically, which is an aura called Emerging Dominance. That aura only costs 2, but it does not have Go Again. So you can sacrifice the Master Boots and give that card Go Again since it only costs 2, and you can do other things like swing with your weapon. Again, it's either this or Iron Rot legs. It's really however you're feeling at the time, right? If you're going up against like Dorinthia, you're going to want that 1 extra defense from the boots. It's not great, but it's all we got. And then my last 3 slots of equipment are Null Rune Glove, Hood, and Boots. I was running the chest for a while, but I always found myself never replacing Tectonic Plating. It's just so good and it helps this deck out so much. Also, 3 Arcane Barrier is perfect for Bravo. We run a lot of blues in this deck, so you can just pitch 1 blue and nullify 3 arcane damage just from 1 card. So it's really good rates, and also, like I said, we don't want to replace that Tectonic Plating. It's just so good. Now let's get started with the deck. I know you can see a few cards here. Let's talk about them. First, we have 2 Sigil of Solace Red. You get to gain 3 life. And for a while, I was running this right here, Blessing of Deliverance. But I found a lot of the times it wouldn't trigger perfectly every time. It's a good card. When I had Go Again with it, I really wasn't doing much after playing this card. So I just kind of replaced it because I couldn't always gain that 3 life, but with Sigil of Solace, it's a guaranteed 3 life gain. Also, it's an instant, so it doesn't cost you an action point. You can play it on your opponent's turn. If you have this in your opening hand, it's really good, especially if you're playing second. You can just pitch it out, gain 3 life. It's also really good against Ninja because it effectively blocks 3 damage. There's a lot of times where ninjas are swinging with Kodachis for 1 point of damage, and you don't want to block with a card from your hand because it's blocking 3 usually, and the Kodachis are only doing 1 damage, so it feels really bad. But this Sigil of Solace really nullifies that, and it feels really good to play against Ninja. Let me just put it that way. Because of that, and because there's so many ninjas out there, I feel like Sigil of Solace is just a solid staple for the deck. Up next, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the deck. We have Crippling Crush. This is Bravo's specialization. It costs 7 and it deals 11 damage. It has Crush. If it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, they discard 2 random cards. It's so good. If you're going to pick up any cards to make this deck happen, this is where I would start. Well, I would get Tectonic Plating and then I would go with Crippling Crush for sure. With Tectonic Plating, it can reduce this by 1, and you'll notice that throughout the deck. The number in this corner, if you just look at it like it's reduced by 1, a lot of the times it feels really good because you can just pitch 2 blues to play this. And if you have another card in your hand, whether it's blue or yellow, you can pitch another one, use Bravo's ability, and make it have Dominate, which is really good. This is one of the cards that you definitely want to dominate if you can. It also has a block of 3. A lot of opponents are scared of this card, and for good reason. This card is so good. Play it. Up next, we have Spinal Crush. It costs 5. It's another red pitch. It has Crush, where if it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, action cards, activated abilities, and attacks they control lose and can't gain Go again during their next action phase. It deals 9 damage. So again, if you can dominate this, it's really good. If you notice, it's crushing a ninja. I wonder why. It's a really good against ninja. That's why I just said it. So it's also really good against warrior. This is a solid card. Definitely run it. 9 damage, dominate it. It's really good. And again, it has a block for 3. Actually, I think a lot of these cards do. Our next red attack for Bravo, we have a Mangle. It costs 4 with Crush. If it does 4 or more damage to a hero, destroy target equipment they control with a -1 counter on it. So for 8 damage and 4 mana, that's a pretty solid hit. We're also running 2 of them as well. This is a good card, and it blocks for 3. It really helps out against warrior. If you get that crush effect, it's really going to damage them. Warrior rely on their equipment a lot, as do most classes. So whatever you use this against, it's going to do great things. 8 damage for 4, and if it's reduced by 1, 8 damage for 3. Come on now, that's like, why wouldn't you run that? It's a good card. Up next are defense reactions. We only run 4 defense reactions. We have 2 red unmovables and 2 blue unmovables. Okay, so the red one blocks for 7, and if it's played from Arsenal, it actually blocks for an additional 1. This card's really good. It stops a lot of go tall strategies, right? It's really, really good. And then we have the blue one, which blocks for 5, but if it's played from Arsenal, it blocks for an additional 1. Again, a lot of times we're pitching this for 3, unless we can put it in our arsenal for a little surprise blockage action. It's a solid card. Definitely run it. Up next, we have our yellows. We only run 2. Okay, 2 different yellows, but 4 total. First, we have Righteous Cleansing. This card's insane. It deals 10 damage. It costs 7 resources. And it has Crush, where if it deals 4 or more damage, look at the top 5 cards of their deck. You get to banish 1 or more cards with the same name from among them and put the rest back on their deck in any order. So if you reveal the top 5 cards of their deck and they have the same name, they could have different pitch values, right? So you could essentially hit all 5. Like, it's possible to hit all 5. It's very unlikely, but there's a good chance this effect is going to trigger and you're going to be able to banish 2 cards from their library. You also get to see what's coming. You get to look at what their next turn is going to look like, and you can really benefit from that, okay? Righteous Cleansing, it's very, very good. It also blocks for 3, and we're running 2 of them in this deck. Up next, we have Towering Titan. It costs 9. It is yellow pitch. It's an aura, and at the beginning of your turn, which is your action phase, destroy the Towering Titan, and your next Guardian attack action gets +9. What? Towering Titan. That's what. +9, definitely game ending, okay? You can add +9 to an attack that only costs 5, and it's still doing 14, okay? With no other buffs. This card's insane. Towering Titan is winning me games, essentially. If you Towering Titan into a Crippling Crush for 11, that's 20 damage on field. This is really good, okay? This is a solid card. We run 26 blue pitch values, so it's very possible to play this card. You're looking at 9, you're probably looking away. If you haven't played Bravo before, you're definitely probably concerned about that 9, but trust me, with this deck, you can make it happen. And if you can't, you just arsenal it, and the next turn, usually you'll be able to play it out. Okay, it's a very, very good card. So we run it in yellow and we run it in blue because we need the blue pitch value. Also, it only reduces it by 1, okay? So instead of doing +9, it does +8. Like, that hardly matters, right? That's still a lot of damage, and you need that blue pitch value. Very, very good card. Up next, we have Showtime. This is a card that pitches for 3 and it costs 3 to play. Bravo specialization. When it enters the arena, search your deck for a Guardian attack action, reveal it and put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck. And at the beginning of your next turn, destroy Showtime and you draw an additional card. This card is crazy good. It's another setup card for Bravo, which is what you're doing. That's his big strategy, okay? That's how you know it's showtime. You play it and you're usually grabbing your Crippling Crush, right? This big heavy hitter, majority of the time. You can also grab Righteous Cleansing or Spinal Crush depending on the matchup, but usually you're just grabbing that Crippling Crush. This card's really good. I'm telling you, just having that one extra card on your turn feels so good. You can plan your blocks too. Like you can block with a card from your hand because you know you're going to be drawing another card to replace it. So very, very solid. We run 2 of them. Up next with another aura setup card, we got Stamp Authority. Same as before, it costs 3, it pitches for 3. And when it enters the arena, if you have 2 or more cards in your pitch zone that cost 3 or greater, it gives your hero +1 intelligence. You're drawing 1 more card at the end of your turn. And while this card's on the field, attack action card effects do not trigger when they hit. This card's really, really sweet. It gives you an extra card at the end of your turn, which is awesome. This card's very, very good. And I'm running 2 of them. Also, if you have 2 or more cards in your pit zone with 3 or greater, that triggers so often. There's literally 2 different cards in this deck that cost 2 or less, and here they are. I threw them in here just so I could show you, all right? The first one that costs 2 or less is Pummel. We're running the blue Pummel because a lot of the times I've noticed the additional +2 is enough to trigger the crush effects. I know you probably want to run the red for the +4, but I'm telling you, it doesn't really matter. A lot of your opponents are going to block for just enough to where they're not taking the crush effect. So this +2 a lot of times will give that extra push to where they're not wasting cards, but essentially they are wasting cards. And it will apply the crush effect, plus if it hits them, they're going to discard an additional card. Blue Pummel is really good for this deck. Don't underestimate it. We're running 2. Pitches for 3, which is awesome. Our last blue aura in the deck is Emerging Dominus. It costs 2 to play. It pitches for 3. It's essentially works out like you're paying for your Bravo's ability 1 turn before you actually use your big attack. So you play it for 2. It's an aura, and at the beginning of your next turn, you destroy it, and your next Guardian attack action gets +1 and Dominate. The +1 helps, but really we're playing this for the Dominate, so that your next turn you don't have to pay 2 more resources to activate Bravo to give your attack Dominate. You have this setting you up the turn before, which is really, really sweet. Also, it blocks for 3. Actually, I think all the cards in this deck block for 3, right? I'm running 2 of them. You gotta run the blue because you need blue pitches in this deck. Starting with the Crush Effect card. The rest of these cards are all blue pitch value. So up first, we have Crush Confidence. It costs 3, and we run them because Bravo needs blue pitch. The attack and all that doesn't essentially matter. Your opponents are going to block so they don't take crush damage. So 5 damage or 7 damage, it all works out the same essentially. Crush Confidence. If it deals 4 more damage to a hero, they lose all hero card effects and activated abilities until the end of their next turn. Really good against a lot of heroes that rely on their hero's ability to keep their deck working. Okay, this is a solid card, and we're running 2 of them. Up next, we have Cranial Crush. Same deal, costs 3, it deals 5 damage, and it has Crush where if it deals 4 or more, the first attack action during their next turn costs an additional 1. So this puts a little bit of a tax on their next action during their turn, so it kind of slows them down, which helps you set up for your turn. We're running 2 of those. Now we have Crush the Weak. It costs 3, 5 damage, and if it deals 4 or more to a hero, they can't play attack action cards 3 or less base attack during their next phase. This is really good against ninjas or any heroes that are playing small attacks. Ranger, it's so good. It's a solid card. If it's not effective against the hero you're playing against, you just pitch it for 3. It's really good. All right, we're running 2 of them. Moving into the 4 resource cost cards, we have Debilitate. So it costs 4 to play. It deals 6 damage. And if it deals 4 or more damage because of its crush effect, the opponent's first attack during their next turn gets -2 attack. Really sweet. It'll help you block during your opponent's turn. and it'll help you save cards so that you can swing back during your turn. Next, we have Choke Slam. It costs 4 with 6 damage, and with its crush effect, if it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, attack action cards can't gain attack during their next action phase. So this is a good card, and I think it's really good against Warrior and Ninja. You'll know the hero you're playing against, and you'll know if this is a card that should be used against them or not. We're running 2 of them. We got Buckling Blow. It costs 4, it deals 6 damage. If it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, put a -1 counter on target equipment they control. This can be really good, and it can help push through damage because your opponents won't be able to block with certain armor that have -1 counters on them. All right, this is a good card. We're running 2 of them as well. And our last card for the deck is Cranial Crush. Okay, we're running 2 of them. It costs 6 to play. It deals 8 damage for blue, which is really, really good. And if Cranial Crush deals 4 or more damage to a hero, they can't draw cards during their next action phase. This card is very sweet. So if the crush effect goes through and they can't draw cards during their next action phase, it puts them a turn behind. They essentially lose a turn, or you gain a turn depending on how you look at it. Keep that in mind while you're playing this card. It's very, very good, and definitely a good card to end the deck on. So I hope this video helped you out. I hope you get an idea on how to play Bravo, or just a deck list to start out with. Some of the cards in this deck list are pretty pricey. So if you're not willing to spend that type of money on a Bravo deck right away, I did make a budget Bravo deck video link description below. Please check that out if you'd like to. It's there for you. Also with Bravo, grab some Seismic Surge tokens. Honestly, you won't need more than 2. I just have 3 because I like that number. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. I really just have Major Matt. If you haven't played a... Okay, I know you probably want to run 4 more damage. Action. You're essentially time walking them. I shouldn't say that. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my content and want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can also hit the like button. It goes a long way, and it really helps out a lot. You can find me on Twitch at JustAddMisplay. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you in the next video.